Welcome back to PPC Office Hours. My name's Michelle Kopp from Level 28 Media.
And I'm Stu Atkins with Atkins Marketing Solutions.
And in today's podcast episode, we are going to be doing a deep dive into ad copy, specifically responsive search ads. But a lot of this that we're going to be talking about, it can be applied to display ads, meta ads, can be applied to your landing page copy. So don't just think that this is just specific to responsive search ads, but because this is a PPC episode, a PPC specific podcast, we really want to dive deep into that, but you can apply it into a bunch of different areas within your creative. So let's go ahead and dive in. Stu, let's talk about features versus benefits. Which one would you say you need to focus on within your ad copy? Let's back it up actually. How would you describe a feature versus a benefit, and which one is more beneficial when you're writing ad copy?
Well, I'd like to make one benefit to the benefit of ads to the beginning, a whole meta topic here. People need to realize an ad is often the first thing they see. It's the first crack at turning that into a lead or a buy or an engagement. So ads are really important. If ads are done properly, it significantly increases the chance of moving on to the engagement. So ads it's kind of the first line of offense to make sure you're going to engage. So they're just really important. They're very important. And one other thing, Michelle, you mentioned RSA. Define that real quick, just in case.
RSAs are responsive search ads. They're the ad units that appear when someone is searching on Google. So they're the text ads that appear at the top of Google ads.
Great, great. Okay, just in case sometimes we throw out those terms and people aren't necessarily sure. Okay, features versus benefits. Fantastic point. Uh, Actually, it's not an either or. Sometimes it's a both and. And the reason being, it kind of depends on the industry and the focus of the ads. If the ads are very heavily focused on a product, you've got to combine both features and benefits in the ad, because a high quality product or a product you're trying to differentiate is going to have features that your competitor may not have, and it may also have benefits. I mean, the bottom line is benefits are always at the top of the list. You really want to focus on benefits, but if you're focusing on a product or a service or a specialized type of service, even if it's lead generation, e-commerce, whatever it is, the features can be of value also. But I would put benefits as number two, and then features. I mean, benefits, excuse me, is number one, and features of number two. But it really depends a little bit on who the target customer is and what the product or service is.
And let's say, for example, we're talking about carpet cleaning. That was actually something we were talking about offline with one of our previous clients. And if we were to talk about the benefits of carpet cleaning versus features, what examples would you give for both?
Benefits would be things like kid friendly, pet friendly, no chemicals, allergy free. Depending on the industry, there can be specific benefit differentiators that are going to be exceptional and are going to definitely set you apart. So in that case, the benefit you really have to think differentiation. What makes your product or service unique, different, and stands apart from your competitors? Kind of the combo of the value proposition and the benefit statement that's on a good landing page or a good homepage for a website. What's really going to set you apart and pique the attention of the potential customer that's engaging with the ads?
Yeah. And then how about features? What would you say features would be in that same example?
Um, Features would be, again, that things that are going to tie into a differentiator. Uh, for example, with that client, they actually would bring alkaline based water
Yeah.
with them in the van to the location. They wouldn't plug into the hose at your house and start sucking up all the dirty things in your carpet or whatever they were cleaning. So that feature of alkaline based water was really unique. And the non-chemical type of aspect was really unique also, and
Yeah.
that was a national franchise. Lots of great reviews. So those features and benefits kind of blended together. But one of the unique features was they brought the water with them in a van, and not many carpet cleaning or hard surface cleaning type of companies did that.
Yeah, yeah. So other features could be like the solutions that they provide, like, if they do use some chemicals or they have their own proprietary chemical that they use, then that could be something like an added feature. But benefit is how it benefits the end consumer, and then features are things that are part of the service or product that you can put out there as not necessarily a benefit to benefit the end consumer, but talking about the specific service or product.
Yeah, agreed. Exactly.
And then let's talk about offers like discounts, promotions. Do you feel like when you're using those within ads that they actually make a difference?
They do. We have a client right now we're working with. It's a unique restaurant and steakhouse type of restaurant, and they have offers on a regular basis. It could be seasonality or event based. It could be Mother's Day. It could be Father's Day. We just started featuring a aspect of their menu. The typical ticket price for this restaurant is not cheap. Starts at a minimum $100. However, their meals start at about $27. So we saw in one of their email marketing newsletters we got that we get on a regular basis. And incidentally, coordinating email marketing in a restaurant or retail type business with your ad copy is really important. You want to reinforce both. So we saw that the line starting, menu starting at $27. So we said, oh, okay, we put that in a line in the ad, and to actually highlight that even though it's a more expensive type of higher end restaurant, there are some lower priced options that are available for customers. So an offer like that, and there could be a limited time offer that you want to make sure you put the time base in there, or special limited offers or price specific offers that sometimes you can put in ads that can attract additional clicks and attention and lead to conversions.
Yeah, I fully agree. I know that some people are on the fence. It might also depend too on the industry. Some industries, and if you're also trying to position yourself as like a really high end whatever, or you have a service that is, let's say, like a high end architecture firm, you don't want to be attracting people that are looking for deals. But if you're
Yeah.
okay with offering, and you're not necessarily like a high end service provider, and you're not necessarily you're okay with attracting people looking for deals, definitely have an offer out there, because that's going to definitely increase your click-through rate. And click-through rate is just the number of, just the percentage of the rate at which people are clicking on your ads, so clicks divided by impressions. And
I do have a good example for a high end industry. I have a client, an IT company, and we have a line in one of their ads that simply says contact sales for a free demo.
yeah,
So, in other words, sales is going to come on site demo. You contact sales, they will come to the location anywhere in the US and demonstrate the actual product. So
yeah.
that doesn't relate to price, it relates to the value of, okay, we're going to offer a free demonstration of this high-end IT type of product. So that's another good
Yeah.
example.
And I think also, to clarify, an offer doesn't necessarily need to be a discount. It could be a free
Yeah.
consultation, it could be a free demo. What is that? But really, having something out there is going to be important in order to attract people in. And really it comes down to call to action. What do you want them to do? What's the next easy step for the user to take at the end of the day with your ads? The next thing that I want to touch on, Stu, with responsive search ads, how many responsive search ads is best per ad group? I get this question a lot from a lot of people that are just like barely starting Google ads. Like, how many do I need? Like, what's overkill? Because with responsive search ads, there's 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. That's a lot of information that Google's asking
Yeah.
for. Note that you don't have to use all of it, but it is a best practice to use all of the real estate. So how many darn headlines and descriptions that are unique can you actually come up with that's going to make you, in terms of getting, give you better performance? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we run, I don't know if there's a magic number, but we tend to run 2 ads per ad group. And but having said that, there I go again. I don't like that phrase, having said that. Rather than saying having said that, just say it.
Yeah,
So for
it's a filler phrase.
that's right. It's a filler phrase. So for responsive search ads, we have to remember that once you fill out 15 titles and 4 descriptions, Google machine learning can actually optimize about 44,000 plus variations in that content, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So, technically speaking, from an algorithm and a statistical standpoint, if it's one good ad, you're going to get lots of variations. However, if you've got 2 ads, it gives you a little bit of variety. So we like to typically run 2 ads per ad group. It works effectively. What I like to do is, let's say we're running 2 ads, then look at the click-through rate over time of those 2 ads. If one of the ads is a little bit lower click-through rate, perhaps look at that and see what you can modify, see what's working in the other ad. But as you mentioned, I agree. You got to be careful about overkill. It's a lot of information, and the nature of responsive search ads, the machine learning aspect, uh, tends to create so much variations. However, there's a point that's really important. Just because it's a responsive search ad and just because it has machine learning aspects to it, writing good ad copy from the beginning is critical. If you don't know how to write good ad copy from a human standpoint, Google can't take the human part and make it work well from the machine learning part. So there's an art and science involved in that. But I would say 2 ads per ad group usually has worked well for us.
Man, I've audited accounts where there's like 10 ads per ad group, not
Oh, crazy.
responsive search ads, but with like expanded text ads, like the old format that
Yeah.
went away several years ago, but they're still there because they haven't been paused. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is too much. Also note too, with responsive search ads, there's only a maximum of 3 that you can put in. So 3, I think, is kind of overkill, to be very frank. I think 2 is really all you need.
Yeah.
1 is not enough because ideally it'd be good to have 2 just to do like testing to see. The
Yeah. Yeah.
challenge with responsive search ads, though, is they don't really give you that much data to see exactly which headline and description is performing well. It's just telling you overall which ad is performing well. So you don't know if maybe there's some headlines in there that are duds
Yeah. Yeah.
in your winning responsive search ad. So you kind of have to take it as, okay, like this as a whole is performing well. Maybe we can test out, use this as a whole, and then try something new and test the winner against a new responsive search ad. Then see which one performs best and continue testing. So that's really important on that. With responsive search ads, there's also something called the ad strength that a lot of advertisers see as they're building their responsive search ads and they're typing in their headlines, and there's a little bar that shows you how strong your score is. And if you include your keywords, if you make them unique, then your ad score, it's called the ad strength score, will increase. How important is the ad strength score? Is it something to really pay attention to? Is it something that you need to freak out about if you have all low scores? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's kind of a black hole mystery that Google doesn't really tell us. However, there's Google will rank it from, if I believe, poor, average, good, and excellent.
Yeah.
And I've seen some ads. Well, if you're running a competitive campaign, almost inadvertently, Google's going to rank the ads as poor
Poor. Yeah.
because there's certain things you just can't put in there that violates their policy, and it's going to rank as poor, and you can get conversions. So in a competitive ad campaign, because you can't put certain things in the copy, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get poor. Uh, you're very lucky if it even bumps up to average, but you're still going to get conversions. On the other hand, I've seen brand and non-brand ad groups that you may have an average ad that's going to perform well. So you, you you definitely want to. Usually, you want to try to target good or excellent. Most of the ads we run, we can bump up to average. Sometimes it'll bump up to excellent with a really weird addition to the ad. Now, I've noticed the best way to get to, and please chime in on this, Michelle. The best way to make sure that you get to the excellent category is keywords. The leading
Yeah.
keywords need to be in, especially the titles. Sometimes descriptions move it, but not as often as the title section. And then a consistency with the landing page, the keywords, and the ad copy. If those three are working well together, now sometimes I'll have an ad that's in the good category. So I'll go back to the landing page and I'll look at it. I'll say, okay, is there a short phrase within the landing page that's not on one of the titles that I need to add? And often if I add that, boom, it jumps it up to excellent. So
Yeah.
the keyword structure is really important moving into that area. And it's, as I said, some of what Google does and why it moves it to good and excellent is kind of a mystery, but those are my quick thoughts on that. What do you think?
So, based off of what you said, it sounds like it does matter to you, right? Because you do pay
Yeah.
attention to all of that. My opinion, actually, it differs a little bit. I don't agree that it's something that you need to harp over to have excellent scores across everything. I
Yeah.
think that as long as your ad copy is written to appeal to your end user, that appeals to pain points, has your keywords in there, and has a strong call to action and offer, you are good. You don't necessarily need to be harping over getting all excellent scores on everything. I think even
Yeah.
for you, you do agree, like, hey, you can't be perfect on everything because it is a mystery. It's like quality score. In my honest opinion, quality score is not something that I spend a ton of time on. It's a good diagnostic. And I think that with the ad strength score, I would say that it's like the same thing in terms of a diagnostic tool, but not something that you need to spend hours upon hours to get everything excellent. So that, because just because everything's excellent doesn't mean that it's going to perform well. And I've actually had responsive search ads where the ad strength was poor and it performed really well. So just use it as a diagnostic tool to help you, but don't be so focused on it to the point where you're spending hours upon hours trying to make it perfect.
Yeah. Ditto on that. I agree.
Okay, so let's talk about RSA pictures, or you talked about, you have a note here in RSA pictures. I think what you were referring to were the image extensions. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was
There's
the
also logos, the logo part and the pictures.
what did you want to touch on with that?
Well, I think it's important to have high quality photos that are relevant to the product, service, our ad copy, and if possible, those images are taken off either the landing page or the website. And sometimes you have to work with the client on that. For example, the IT company that we work with, there are products, and it's very important that let's say if it's a server product, you want to make sure that you're using, and they have some great photos. So I utilize some of the specific product specific server pictures in the ad copy, and those highlight and reinforce the ad copy, the images, and you don't want to go hog wild crazy with the images, but those images are important. This client has multiple products, so I make sure that I'm careful within the campaigns and ad groups that those images are specific to those products and the ad groups. Um, so now Google allows you to pull images from the website, also from some
Their
generic
stock
photos.
images. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend not to use the generic images. You do have to be careful with the specs on the ads. A great example of this, I have a client in a unique industry, kind of a recycling industry, and this shifts over to an image, but it's the logo image. Their logo image tended to be more of a horizontal image. So I recently contacted and said, look, can you have your graphic artists put that in a 128 by 128 JPEG or PNG format? And
Yeah.
within a matter of a day, the client sent me back the 128 by 128 logo image, and
Yeah.
I inserted it into the ads. Just little things like that can make a difference. But uh,
Yeah.
I like to add images that, not a ton of them, but those that are high quality and specific and reinforce the ad copy, the product, and Google will insert those images in both mobile and desktop ads. Not all of them. It's kind of Google tends to balance it out from a machine learning standpoint, but I think the images are important. Don't
Yeah.
ignore them. They are important.
Yeah, I think another thing too is just like with, I call them extensions, now they're called assets, same thing. Just
Yeah,
use all the assets available to you.
yeah.
Site links, call outs, images, call extensions, everything available, because that's just going to allow you to take up more real estate. So beyond using all your headlines, all your descriptions, use as many ad assets as possible, and that's going to ultimately increase your click-through rate, your quality score. But I did mention that's something I don't pay too much attention to, but it can help, and ultimately get more traffic and hopefully more leads on your
Yeah,
landing page or website.
yeah, agreed.
Let's go ahead and talk about strategy here. That's something that we haven't really touched on yet in this episode. So in terms of strategy, I when I do research and look at different ways that I could write ads, I look at competitors. I want to see what other competitors in the market are saying, what their offers are, what unique differentiators they have, features versus benefits, as we talked about. I use tools like SpyFu, SEMrush. Those are paid tools. But then there's also the Google Ad Transparency tool, which is free, and you can look up your competitors and see the current ads that they're running and previous ads that they've been running as well. So that's also a really great way to do research without having to pay for it. Have you used SpyFu or SEMrush to do any research to help you with ad copy? And if you have, you want to share your approach to that?
Yeah, I have used I've used SEMrush. I have used SEMrush in the past. I've used the Google tool. Looking at competitive ads can be really important. One little trick of the trade with this, if you look at the keyword, the search terms report within Google, that can offer some valuable insights on potential ad copy via the search terms. For example, if you're getting a lot of impressions on a search terms phrase, and the search terms are different than the keyword terms within the Google reports, it's the actual terms users. It's not as extensive as it used to be, but it does show us some of the terms users are searching for. If you happen to see a search term phrase that users are typing in a lot that may not be a keyword and is not in your ad copy, that's definitely something that you can experiment with. So I think it's a multi-layered approach. You can use some of the paid tools, the Google tools, the search terms report, and also go to your client's website. Make sure you educate yourself, do the research both on the competitors and their website, and look at, it could be as simple as press releases they utilize. Uh, uh, product guides and product briefs on their website have tons of great phrases that can be utilized for ad copy that we tend to miss sometimes. And you have to be careful. Sometimes product managers tend to hype in on this a certain phrase that they just fall in love with, and it really is just metaphoric and really doesn't have anything relevant to an ad copy or the product. And
Yeah, because it's not appealing to the end user. The end user doesn't understand.
they
Yeah.
they have no idea.
Yeah.
One client used this phrase, single pane of glass.
And they
And
were married to it. They
the
wanted it all
product,
over their
they just
ads.
fell in love with single
Yeah.
pane of glass. Really had, and it really had nothing to do. It was cute and sounded hip, but it didn't relate specifically to the IT product. I mean,
That's the
so
problem when you work with a lot of corporate clients. A lot of the product owners, they get very tripped up and they want to have their messaging and how they think their end user is going to, be attracted to it. But then the problem is it doesn't really say anything. It might sound cute, but cute doesn't convert at the end of the
yeah,
day.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So those are my quick thoughts on what do you think about it?
On what? On
What we were talking about as far as utilizing those various tools. Did I miss anything?
SEM Rush, SpyFu, I've used them like I'd mentioned. I don't think that they're 100% necessary. You don't need to
Yeah.
pay for them.
Yep, I agree.
Especially like, if you're going to be using it for keyword research, a lot of it, especially like with keyword research and ad spend forecasts, it's all not accurate. So don't take it as it's, the Bible or anything that you need
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
yeah, that you need to follow it exactly. But at the same time, it's a good resource for ad copy. You don't need it. Ad transparency tool is just as good. And
yeah. I agree.
I think another great hack that you can use to help with ad copy is going to be looking at your customer reviews, because there's going to be some things that customers say that you might not necessarily have on your landing page or website that you can leverage in your ad copy. And I've seen it work really, really, really well, especially if you're seeing a lot of customers say the same things over and over and over again, but you're not talking about that on your website or landing page. Definitely take that and then put it in the ad copy, because your future customers are going to see it. And if your existing customers or previous customers said something great about you, and a lot of them are saying the same thing, you can apply that over to your responsive search ads and get more clicks and hopefully more conversions.
Exactly. And I forgot to mention there's some free keyword tools out there. What's Patel? What's his first name?
Neil
There's a
Patel.
Neil Patel has a free keyword research tool. Even our old friend WordStream has a free keyword research tool, which is used to be free, then it wasn't free. Now it's free again. It's actually pretty decent. It kind of feeds in from Google, but it gives you some information. So there are free keyword research tools out there that can help with ad copy that sometimes I utilize. So, but it's as I mentioned, multi-layered. There's a lot of things you can pull from. But I think the bottom line is a good PPC agency or account or campaign or whether you've got to think about it. You got to do your research. You really have to take ad copy seriously, and 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 it's an art and a science, and you have to apply the science and the art. And again, I bring it back to writing good ad copy is the foundation before Google even starts doing anything with the algorithm. You've got to give Google decent ad copy to begin with, and I think it enhances the whole process.
Actually, you mentioning how important ad copy is, it brings up a memory when I used to work in the agency space when I was at Ogilvy, a performance marketing arm of Ogilvy. I had a coworker that actually argued that creative ad copy doesn't matter. And he wanted to test putting in some random words into clients' ad copy and see how that performs versus just versus the good ad copy that we actually had. And he wanted to say something like, oh, In-N-Out's the best hamburger for an accounting software. And C, his argument was that, oh, it's not the ad copy, it's a placement on the page. People don't read ad copy. People are just going to click on the first one. They're not going to read it. And of course, we couldn't test it because, of course, that would the client would have been really upset. But he wanted to
Yeah.
make that argument that, oh, it's the placement on the page. It's not necessarily the ad copy. But my argument is if you have good ad copy and you've got good placement, your chances of getting more clicks and more conversions is going to go up. Ad copy is important. But one thing that I will say to that is you want to have something that looks different than all the other people that are advertising in the same space. If you're all saying the same thing, I know that can be very tricky because then why is someone going to want to engage with you? Why is someone going to want to click? Then you're just, winning the battle for attention. That's the name of Stu's book. Yeah, so it's really important. And how do you win the battle for attention? Really strong ad copy.
Yeah,
Um,
and no, you're right on the money there, Michelle. And don't make your call to actions too generic. There's ways to be creative with calls to action, and whether it's uh, even something as generic as call now, uh, uh, it can be kind of generic. So why not call expert sales consultant now? So try to refine your call to action and make it specific to the contact us for free demo. So you have to combine the call to action with the benefit of the product and maybe even a feature, probably more so a benefit, but don't just rely on generic call to actions.
Yeah. Something that I wanted to also touch on. So, we already talked about making sure that you have your keywords in your ad copy. That's going to make sure that the user intent is aligned with what you have to offer. And then also make sure that those keywords are also on your landing page. I think one of the greatest things about search, paid search, PPC in general, is the fact that you can get data really, really quickly and you can see what type
Yeah.
of ad copy performs really well and iterate on that really quickly. Especially if you've got a big budget, you're spending several $1,000s a month or even a day. You'd be able to collect a lot of data pretty quickly and see which headlines and descriptions you can apply and even use on your landing pages and move a lot faster than if you're doing SEO, then it's harder to track and actually do testing. So that's why I love PPC because we can get the data really fast and iterate and keep testing on the creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
agree. I agree. And you can even utilize the A/B testing feature within Google Ads, and layer that with your ad copy. There's a lot you can do to refine and test. And
yeah.
but like you and I always say, time plus data plus patience, and uh, all these factors are really important to refine and test and take advantage of the data over time.
Yeah, by the A/B testing feature, you are referring to the ad variation tool. I have a video already on my channel showing
Great.
people how to use that. So definitely, if you'd like to check that out, check out the description below and you can see how to use that to your benefit.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
last thing that I wanted to talk about, Stu, is using ad copy to repel away leads that you don't want or repel clicks. Because with pay per click, you're only paying for every click on your ad, which is a great benefit. Because if someone doesn't necessarily, meet your requirements or necessarily fit what you have to offer, they're not going to click. Based off of what you have to say. But with repelling users or the wrong type of leads away, what would you say? What would be your approach in terms of moving away from leads that might not have a certain budget for your service or product? How would you repel end users away or clicks away?
It's a great point. Let me try to think of an example. Excuse me, that client that I have that is in X-ray recycling. uh, this particular client, they recycle X-ray film, old film, and pull the silver out of it, and the customer gets cash as a result of that recycling. Very unique industry. So in some of the ad copy, we want to put in there, we don't sell silver. We don't sell, even though they recycle and refine
It's
uh,
different.
the
Yeah.
film. It's different. It's not a
Yeah.
product offering. So you want to make sure that the client doesn't think, oh, they work in the spot silver commodity market. And, oh, they work in the spot silver gold market. They don't. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you're not turning a hope from the potential lead into a click, and you want to filter those out immediately. So from the
Yeah.
impression or the page view standpoint, or the ad view standpoint, that you're filtering it out. And there, that's the first example I can think of, but it's
Yeah.
really important. It's a great tool to use from a strategy standpoint.
Yeah, a couple of things that I wanted to add to that. I have a client that offers luxury African safaris, and they target really, really high end consumers, like 65 plus, more affluent, and just because their average ticket for one person to travel to East Africa and the Serengeti is $8,000. So
Yep.
he was getting too many low ballers, or just too many people that were just looking for a fun little safari for like the cheapest price. And I
Yeah.
told him what we need to do is start pre-qualifying people. That's really what it is, pre-qualifying and
Yeah.
saying up front, it's going to cost you at least, safari luxury safaris, private luxury safaris starting at $8,000 per person. If you
Yeah.
use words like private, if you use words like luxury, and you have the minimum pricing in there, that's going to attract a completely different demographic than someone that is not in that user category. So it's really, really important that if you want to repel cheat people away, teenagers away,
Tire
you know, we,
kickers.
tire kickers, exactly. You need to have specific wording and even specific messaging and even pricing in there. You and I, we
Yeah.
worked with a fishing charter, and I can't remember. This was a couple years ago. Fishing charter in Canada,
Yeah,
and
minimum
they
was five. I think it was about five to eight
five
thousand
grand,
dollars.
five to
Yeah,
eight
5 grand. Sorry,
thousand.
yeah,
Yeah,
per person,
exactly, per
not including
person.
the flight. Does not include, and it didn't include the cost to get there.
Yeah. And typically, a lot of the people in that demographic, they would know to be searching for that type of thing. But to repel people that were cheap or tire kickers away, you need to have, the minimums in there and just make sure that you're attracting and only paying for clicks where people are okay with that. And even still, when you sometimes put the minimum pricing in your ads, people are still going to click even though they're not qualified. So you still want to put on your form or whatever funnel you have on your landing page, again, re-mention the minimum pricing, because you don't want your salespeople to be wasting their time with these people as well. Again, some people, they don't fully read the ads. They might get excited, and then from there they might click. They might have wasted some money. But if you don't want them to be engaging with your sales team, you need to be putting more qualifiers in place, so you're not wasting time.
Yeah, great example. And I think I can think of a second example. I had a client that was a high end dog trainer, very high end, executive protection, family
Yeah.
protection. Just the cost of the dogs were in the $50,000 to $80,000 range. So
Yeah.
we're talking Learjet, Maserati only type of leads. Nobody that's trying to sell a used Chevy or Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So we actually put on the landing page a starting at $50,000 to $80,000, and there were
Yeah.
three different tier levels of the type of dogs, and
Yeah.
that didn't include even the consultation fee, or flying
Yeah.
out to the multi-million
Exactly.
dollar home in their Learjet.
Exactly.
And so really important point.
Yeah, and then also too, putting that in the ads would help to disqualify people as well from clicking. So
Yeah.
I've had high-end dog trainers too. We do the same thing, but you need to mention as well, all those things. I have a client in the medical space. They don't accept Medicare or Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
It might sound negative too to say we don't accept Medi-Cal or Medicare, but you also don't want to be paying for those type of patients if you can't accept their insurance.
Yeah, that's right. We don't, yeah, we only accept PPO, only
Yeah.
PPO insurance for,
Exactly. So saying, putting it a positive spin on it, like only accepting, but then you also need to have a fine balance because there's only so much space in the responsive search ads to put whatever you want to say.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
pinning really quickly before we end this call, pinning headlines and descriptions. I work with a lot of clients in the medical space and even legal space where they need to have certain things said in their ads. Always need to appear every single time. Pinning. What are your thoughts on that? Is it something that can hurt your ads? What are your thoughts on that before we wrap this up?
Well, you need to experiment with it because if you've got an ad in the excellent category, as soon as you pin it, it drops down to good or average. And in most cases, so if it's a critical differentiating point that has to be called out, uh, potentially, as we just mentioned, it's another way to filter out ads to filter out false leads or tire kickers.
Yeah, exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so you have to experiment with it and really watch it. If you're only, one ad pinned, another ad unpinned, see what the performance difference is
Yeah,
over time. So yeah, but you got to be careful with it.
yeah, yeah. I'll say that even if your score drops, keep an eye on it because like I
Yeah,
said, you could have really bad scores, ad strength, but then it might perform better. So
yeah, yeah,
don't take it like it's going to kill your campaign. You need to let it run. What I have seen is by pinning, it actually does hurt the performance, because Google doesn't like to be restricted. But what I'll say is there's really no real way around it if you have to use specific messaging to repel people away, or from a legal perspective, you have to say certain things. You have to If you have to pin it, you have to pin it, and that's really all you can do.
and
And just
if you're going to pin, usually I tend to prefer the top level conversion focused phrase to
yeah,
pin, something that is working, and start with that. And I think that increases the chance that a pin, even though it may drop the ad ranking, it's still going to perform well. And that's where I tend to start. Only use leading phrases that have been converting in the past as a pinned title.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Stu, for joining me on this great episode here on ad copy, responsive search ads, and everything in between. If you found this podcast episode helpful, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to this channel. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.